Netflix is insanely popular. Sequels and remakes seem to be all over the box office. We've got 360 video, 7-second vines, and huge audiences on Snapchat. This site isn't even considered new media anymore. So what can we expect from the next 10 years of filmmaking? Let's talk about technology for a minute. Consumer cameras are getting better and better. It's exponential. At some point in the near future, your phone will be able to film in any lighting situation because the low light performance will be so good. Autofocus will be near flawless, and there'll be built-in stabilizers that mean shaky footage is no longer a problem. Things that right now require some level of skill or money will be replaced by technology. So it's only natural that some jobs will cease to exist. It's already happening in photojournalism. For a front page image in the news, you need two things: capture the story, capture it well. And because so many people have smartphones, there's always someone in the right place at the right time to capture that iconic moment. And the quality is good enough that the papers are using more and more of these images rather than their own professional photographers. So the question is, will this happen to filmmakers? I remember hearing about this a couple years ago and saying to myself that no matter how good consumer cameras get, it'll only be the professionals who set up lights, so I'll always be one step ahead. But that's quite an old-fashioned way of thinking. Because here on YouTube we're seeing people build active communities and get billions of views, often from sitting in their bedrooms. And the lighting is often terrible, with subpar audio quality, and many of these channels aren't about education or comedy or telling you a story. It's challenge videos, mail videos, Q&As. I think people watch them to get to know the person, like spending time with a friend, except it's over Skype and they're just doing all the talking and you're just listening. But it's easy to dismiss the people making and watching that content, but for my generation at least, you cannot deny their significance. On the blog post I've put a couple of interesting articles about this kind of thing, links below. Now don't get me wrong, I think high production value content that takes months to write and has really nice lighting and a big crew still has value and we'll keep seeing it, but I'm just saying that that is no longer enough to set you apart. On a technical level, the gap is closing rapidly and in some cases disappearing. How many Steadicam operators will lose work now that it's so easy to use a gimbal stabilizer? Let me put it this way, people who probably don't know what an f-stop is are finding loads of success making comedy vines, shooting with their phones. And they're proving, once again, that production value is not the limiting factor. With Vine, it's all about the concept, the character, the punchline, the face expressions, the sounds. On Snapchat, I reckon the low production value actually helps. It's casual and authentic, rather than glossy and overproduced. So that brings us on to the creative side. Regardless of the budget, regardless of the genre, the platform, there seems to be one thing in common with all good filmmaking. Something beyond the superficial. Something that makes you think, something that makes you laugh, something that makes you feel. If you can master that, then you'll do well whether you're shooting vines on a phone or a massive budget film. For years we've been hearing that now, finally, almost anyone has enough resources to make a film. But rather than dwelling on the sheer number of terrible films that are going to get made, why not focus on what we can do to harness the power of the internet, to harness the technology, and to make a film that soars past what the big studio giants are doing. So all of this has led me to the conclusion that we have no reason to worry about future careers in filmmaking. Sure, some paths are going to close off, but other ones will open up in their place. Where I used to think that knowing how to light a scene would set me apart as a professional, I'm now realizing that it's the way you can make an audience feel that sets you apart. If there's one thing we can remember, it's that content comes first. The platform to share that content and the equipment used to make it will become obsolete, but the storytelling itself never will. My name's Simon Cade, this has been DSLR Guide, and I'll see you next week.